and we'll get this started. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Jennifer Butler. I'm the director of the Office of Diversity and Inclusion for the College of Business and Analytics here at SIU. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I want to welcome everyone to our exciting panel tonight, Being Hispanic in Business, Identity, Influence, and Impact. Thank you for joining us. I've got quite a few announcements, so bear with me and then we'll get to our two amazing speakers. So notice two. First off, unfortunately, Rogelio was unable to make today's event. He's on a business trip. His logistics didn't quite work the way he planned. He sends his regrets and he really does hope he gets another chance to talk to us. So hopefully in the future. Second, today's event is co-sponsored by the Hispanic Latino Resource Center, and it's taking place in conjunction with Hispanic Latinx Heritage Month. So I'm going to be dropping a link to the rest of their events that are taking place. They still have a few this week and next week, so make sure you check them out. Then the next thing is we are, as I just said, we're recording today, so our online students have access to this recording at a later date. So just a heads up there. And then lastly, I'm going to be dropping a virtual sign-in sheet. So please fill out your name, your dog tag. This gives us a chance to kind of have this for posterity in our records, and several professors are offering some form of extra credit for attending today. So before I turn it over to our student moderator, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the format today because we have two speakers. I'm going to introduce our moderator. She's going to turn it over to our speakers. They're going to introduce themselves, move quickly throughout their time, and then we're going to follow it up with a brief question and answering session. Now, if you have questions and you don't want to wait till the end, go ahead, drop them in the chat. I'll be monitoring that and gathering them. But if you want to ask our speakers yourself, just feel free. We're going to have a session for that at the end. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our moderator for today's panel. She is currently a freshman, undecided business major. She has plenty of time to decide where her passions are, don't worry. A little known fact about her is she's been to Europe and she really enjoyed the experience. And her walkout song is "We Will Rock You" by Queen. Please help me virtually welcome our moderator for today's event, Alexis Mata.
Thank you, Dr. Butler. And now I'd like to turn it over to Bernice to introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Bernice Tenorio, and I was born and raised in Mexico. My mom was a single mom, and she didn't have enough money to send me to college, but I really wanted to go to college, and I really wanted to go to one of the most prestigious private universities in Mexico. So I looked for scholarships, and it's how I ended up, going to college and had this college education with the scholarships. And I got a degree in international business. When I graduated, guess what? I was broke and I had no money, but I had a lot of dreams. And I wanted to be a successful Mexican and with professional experience in a different part of the world.
Thank you so much, Bernice. And I'd like to turn it over to Alberto to introduce himself.
Thank you very much, Alexis. And guys, Berenice Tenorio, she is absolutely amazing. So please listen to her story and ask her many questions because she's truly an example of a Hispanic businesswoman, entrepreneur, really killing it, not only in Illinois, but in the Midwest in general, and maybe national. I hope, Berenice, that I'm not misstating that. Hello, everybody. My name is Alberto Villarreal Garza. That's in Spanish. In English, it's Alberto Villarreal Garza. So you pick however you want to call me, right? Either if it's in Spanish or in English. If anybody in the audience is from the northern part of Mexico, they will realize that Villarreal and Garza are both last names that apply to the northern part of Mexico. I was born and raised in Monterrey. I spent 18 years of my life in Monterrey until I was very fortunate to receive a full ride to play soccer at Georgia State University, which that began or triggered my U.S. adventure. Today, I am the founder and managing director of Nepanoa Transformation Advisory, and it is a pleasure to be with you today and share my story and just have a good conversation about what it is to be a Hispanic in business in the United States.
Thank you so much to Bernice and Alberto for introducing themselves. And now I'd like to introduce Bernice as our first speaker to have her explain a little bit more about her business and what she does.
Well, like I said, I wanted to be a successful Mexican, and I wanted to have professional experience in a different country. And like I said, I was born and raised in Mexico. I went to college over there. And when I graduated, I had this big passion for international markets and for Mexican gastronomy. And of course, knowing that Mexican food is very well known in different countries in the world. And so I started looking for a job after I graduated, and I was looking for a job in different countries, English-speaking countries. Of course, I speak Spanish, but I also, learn English as my second language. So I was looking in different countries for a job, and finally I got a job offer with a company in the food industry. It is an international corporation with presence in different countries in Latin America, and of course, with presence in the United States. And the opportunity was, to come to the United States to work for them in the food industry. And this was, great, and it was like my dream job to be, working for an international company, different country, and also in the food industry. So I worked for them for about 5-6 years. And then another company in the food industry, also here in the United States, hired me to work for them. And basically, I ended up, having 10 years of experience in the food industry and in the Hispanic market. And actually, it was something great for me because I got paid during 10 years to work for these companies and learn the industry, learn the market, learn the business from different areas. And, working for them, I always had the initiative to do more things, more things than what my job description said. So I always wanted to participate in different projects, different areas. So I had the opportunity, with my second company to learn, from areas from HR, marketing, sales, finance, logistics, distribution, different areas. And it was great, like I said, because I got paid, to learn all these things. And finally, in 2013, I started my company, Nuestra Cocina. And with my company, of course, I'm in the same industry, in the same food industry, and in the same Hispanic market. And what I do is I manufacture Mexican dairy products, name it, cheeses, creams, yogurts, desserts, and other products that I also have as complementary lines to my portfolio. And I manufacture all these products under very strict safety and quality procedures. And like I said, so all these products are Mexican dairy products. And in total today, I have more than 120 different Mexican food products. And the presence that I have is in more than 22 states in this country. And the presence that I have with my products is in more than 3,000 grocery stores. I have presence in stores like Ulosco, Mariano's, Trader Joe's, Walmart as well, and all other independents in this market, and also in main retailers in these other 22 states where I have a presence with my products. And with my products, I have won different awards in the dairy industry, awards that are well recognized in the dairy industry. And I feel so proud because with my brand, I can tell that now it's one of the 3 leader brands in the market, and I feel also very proud because most of the brands that were out there before, my brands, they had presence for more than 15 years. And my presence in Soli, for 8 years, and it's already one of the leader brands in the Midwest. So as a Hispanic woman in business, I feel very proud that I am part of one of the fastest growing segments in the Hispanic business community in the US, which is the Latina or the Latin women business. This segment has been growing more than 87% since 2007. And it's great to be part of, that segment. And I feel very proud to be a Hispanic woman in the United States, and mostly because I contribute with jobs in this country, and I also contribute with I create jobs and I contribute with the economy of this beautiful country, which I call today my home.
Thank you so much, Bernice. And I'd like to turn it over to Alberto as he tells us a little bit more about his company and what he does.
Oh, thank you very much, Bernice. If you guys give me 1 second, I did not come prepared, but I do have a couple of slides to share with you. Just kidding with you. Yes, I do have a couple of slides. So just give me 1 second, please, so I can share that. There you go. All right. So, when I spoke to Jennifer about this session, we said, hey, we want you guys to focus on 3 items, and it's identity, influence, and impact, right? I was like, okay, understood it. And that really relates, to my life. And every time I speak about my life or my story, I always like to divide it in 3 chapters. Not that 3 chapters is the complete book, but 3 chapters is what has been written up to now. So I'm going to put Alexis on the spot. Let's see, Alexis, can you read the title of this slide for me? What does it say on the top right?
Yeah, mi primera vida.
Perfect. And what does that mean for everybody else?
Like my early life.
My early life, my first life, actually, my first life. And you see a very young person, and those pictures, guys, all of them are more than 20 years ago. So the first one that you see there is this little kid. I should have been, what, 7 or 8 years old over here? This is Monterrey. Here I was like 15 years old. Here, I'm pretty sure I was 21 years old. But the reason that I want to start with my first life is because my first life was an athletic life. I didn't care much about anything else. Growing up in Monterrey, I played tennis, I played soccer, and my parents really encouraged me to continue with that. But this life really forged my identity. And the reason that I placed this particular picture is because when I was 15 years old, I got the honor to be called to the Mexican national team, under 17 Mexican national team, guys. So that's why I was 15 years old, and that's where I truly learned to represent my country internationally, right? That one of the talents that I had, which was being a fairly good soccer player, enabled me to represent my country. And we played against the United States, of course, and we played against Italy and against Guatemala and against Brazil. Actually, this is a practice game, and we're playing the Brazil team, right over here. But at that point, I was like, I like this piece about being Mexican and about playing, right, against other teams, against other nations, and representing my country via playing soccer. I was very, very lucky. Not everybody is that lucky. But one time we were playing the US in San Antonio, Texas. And there were a lot of coaches there, okay? And there were a lot of college coaches there. And the college coaches were looking at the US players, not the Mexican players. And I happened to have a good game. And suddenly college coaches were recruiting me to come and play in the United States. Very stereotypical story, guys. Very, very stereotypical story. The Mexican kid plays soccer and ends up earning a food ride at Georgia State University. Okay. And if you look at this picture on the right, Georgia State, it's a college downtown Atlanta, and their colors are blue, white. But there's something about the uniform that I'm wearing that it's a little bit distinct. And Jennifer, I don't know if anybody can participate, but if anybody can participate, can you tell me what's distinct about the uniform that I'm wearing? Anybody? It can be anybody, guys. Let's see if you're awake and if you're paying attention and if you're not only here for the extra credit. And if you are, I congratulate you for that as well.
Is it the Mexican flag on the shoulder?
Thank you, Drake. Greatly appreciate that. So this is a captain's armband. So it had to be either my junior or my senior year. And it's green, white, and red. Even at that point, guys, when we were traveling across the nation, playing different universities, I would always get yelled at like, hey, Mexican, and other, good things, but mostly bad things. You know what? I learned that was my identity. I'm like, yes, I'm Mexican, and I'm very proud of my heritage. And I learned to identify with that. And I learned to thrive and to use it as an advantage, even at a very young age. Then I entered into my second life. And I love something that Berenice just said, and I hope you guys caught it. She said, I was getting paid to learn in my first jobs. You're going to see that in my second life, this is what I call my academic life. And I did not have Georgia State in there, where is where I went to college, even though I think I did okay in college, because I was still kind of transitioning from my athletic life, from my identity into my educational or my academic life. But I do place here PwC, which was the place that gave me an opportunity to work right out of college and become a consultant. Now, when I was at PwC, I lasted at PwC around 14 years before I left to start my own company. And most of the projects that I was doing there were around transformational work. And what's transformation? It is implementing systems at a company, it's re-engineering processes, it's helping them establish operations in a different country. It's anything that implies change for large organizations. Transformation is just a fancy word that we consultants use. And that's what I learned about the influence of my heritage. Why? Because PwC, when I started at PwC, it was not the diverse organization that it is today. Today, it's one of the most diverse organizations in the world, not only in the United States. And I really appreciate that from that firm. But when I started back in 2005, 2006, I was really unique, right? I could be identified as one of the only Hispanics in there. But I learned about the influence that I could have because of the work and the projects that I was being staffed on and that I asked to be staffed on. So for the vast majority of my career at PwC, I spent time in Chicago, of course, New York, Boston, San Francisco, but a lot of time in Santiago de Chile, in Mexico City, in Cartagena, in Colombia, in Rio, in Buenos Aires. Why? Because there were these global companies, not all of them based in the US, but global companies that had operations in LATAM. And I learned about the influence of understanding not only the language, but the culture of how to work and how to implement change south of the border in the United States. And of course, on many projects also within the United States. I was very, very fortunate and very, very lucky to get into Chicago booth. Guys, I am very sure, I'm actually positive that the moment they accepted me, they went down in their rankings. I promised you. I promised you. But I made it through. I did the part-time at Chicago booth so I was there Fridays, Saturdays, taking classes. And once again, I was one of the only ones there, but, I learned to understand the influence of being different, but really of owning the fact that, yeah, I'm Mexican. And because I'm Mexican, I grew up, in a different culture, but also I can understand the differences between the US, Mexico, but also, the rest of Latin America. How am I doing on time? Am I still under the 15 minutes, guys? Please say yes. Okay, I'll assume that's the case. And then my third life, right, which is the impact. And there you see the logo of Nepanoa. Let's see. Another question, guys. What does Nepanoa mean? Nepanoa is a word in Nahuatl. Let's see if somebody can Google it real quickly. Meaning of Nepanoa. If somebody can tell me, what does Nepanoa means? Come on, guys. Let Drake out of, off the hook. Somebody else.
To accompany.
There you go. Thank you very much, Celine. To accompany, to be a companion, to be a guide. Nepanoa is a Nahuatl word. Nahuatl was the language of the Aztecs, right? Which were the native Mexicans, to call them in a certain way, before, Spain conquered Mexico, which at the time was the Aztecs. It was not Mexico, right? But Nepanoa means to accompany. And that's exactly what we do. We accompany international businesses with operations in Mexico or Latin America to implement transformation projects. So when you look at our organization right now, we have 10 people in our organization and growing. They're based in Chicago, they're based in Mexico City, in Monterrey, and in Guadalajara. But the impact that we're having is not only with the people that we have in our organization, but it's also with the image and the way that we represent our Hispanic heritage in business. And let me tell you why. Because the moment someone in business says, I have to go to Mexico. I have so much trouble with my operations in Guatemala. That's exactly when we come in. To change that perspective, to help them, to accompany them in doing business, not only in the United States with Hispanics, but also in Mexico and Latin, the rest of Latin America, the right way. And that is the impact that we're having today. Now, that third life, that impact that I'm having, it wouldn't be possible if I didn't grow up, playing sports and identifying and truly saying, you know what, I'm Mexican, I'm Hispanic, and owning it. It wouldn't be possible if I didn't see the influence that I had in my academic life at PwC, at Chicago Booth, understanding the value that I brought, right, as a Hispanic. And now I'm seeing the impact of it. I'm taking all of that and creating a business based on the fact that we can help international businesses operate outside of their borders and generate even a greater impact, right? Because we're creating not only jobs, but commerce, helping the economy, training people, etc. So those are my three lives and the way that they match to the purpose of our talk today. Before we go into the Q&A, if anybody wants to get in touch with me, guys, either for a job or just to chat or for a question about career or whatever, here's where you can find me. Pretty simple. Email, WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. Okay. Thank you.
Wow, that was awesome. Okay, so let's transfer and transition to questions. I am so excited. I hope that students have questions for y'all because that was really great. As for contact information, if you didn't get a screenshot of that or you didn't write it down, don't worry. I can get it from Alberto and put it in. I was only going to drop his LinkedIn, but he went all the way down to his social media, so you can follow him on his trip if you want to. But anyway, let's open it up to questions. Who has questions? I hope you have some questions.
I have a question for, is it Berenice? Is that how you pronounce your name? I'm sorry. I think you're muted. My question was, how did you guys start off like marketing when you guys were like, when you were a small business? Like where did you like originally market to, and how did you grow into being such a big, well-known business now?
Okay, so one thing that really helped was that, like I said, I spent 10 years working for two companies in the same market and the same industry. So I had a relationship with a lot of these retailers where I have presence today. And that helped a lot to, of course, to place my products when I launch, to place my products, in those stores when I launch my brand. And also, promoting with, they have ads and demos as well, to, of course, to introduce yeah, to introduce my products, with consumers. But the big help was basically, the relationships that I had with these retailers that, opened the door for what I wanted to do and when I, started my business.
Awesome. Thank you.
So relationships for sure in your professional life are very, very important.
I have a question for like kind of the both of you. So I know you guys both said that your first job, like I know Bernice, you said it felt like you're getting paid to learn. Did you guys do research before applying to those jobs, or did they like how'd you come upon those jobs?
Berenice, please go ahead first.
Sure. Okay, so yes, for sure I did. I had a passion, like I said, for Mexican gastronomy and for international markets. So I really wanted to work for a company in the food industry. And yes, I really wanted to work for this company, and I did my research for what they were doing. And one of the main things that I liked back then was that this company already had presence in Mexico, but they also had a big presence in Latin America. But back then, they didn't have the presence in the United States. So I went out of my way to, to contact them and to apply for a job because I knew that they had plans to come to the United States to open this market. And that basically was something that it interests me because I wanted to be part of that project. And especially, like I said, because I had this passion for international markets. And to me, that was like the big project or my dream project, to go to a different country, open the market, start operations, and do everything, from scratch. And basically, get different consumers for different products. That's, like a challenge when it comes to marketing, which is, one of my passions as well. And to answer your questions, yes, I did a lot of, research, and I had a lot of, interest in this company. And I went out of my way to, to get an interview, to talk to them. And it was not easy because sometimes, you have to, of course, do everything, online or send emails, send your resume, and just wait until, somebody calls you for an interview. I did more than that, that was my target. And I was doing networking events where I knew that, the company had presence, or, people from for working for the company were going to be there. And so, yes, I went out of my way to, talk to them and get an interview. And finally, I got a job offer and I moved to the States.
Excellent. So to reiterate what Berenice said, yes, when I was coming out of college, I did a lot. It's about differentiating yourself, guys. Since you're, most of you are in college, perhaps some of you are in graduate school in this call. But when you look to your right and you look to your left, okay, what am I doing that differentiates myself from the others? And I will never forget that there was a career fair at Georgia State University, and we had practice, and I was a team captain. And I went to the coach. I'm like, hey, coach, I suggest the seniors and the juniors and seniors should not go to practice today. He's like, why? And I was like, because there's a career fair. right? And X company is going to be there, and Y company is going to be there, and Z company is going to be there. And my coach said, you know what, Alberto, you can skip practice, but I don't think everybody else. I was like, are you sure? Yeah, sure. So next thing you know, actually that's the career for what I gotta, where I met, the folks from PwC. But, to Berenice's point, even before heading to the career fair, I knew, I had the map of who was where and which, booths I wanted to stop by and say hello. So yes, definitely, Alexis, you have to do research on what you want to do, the companies that are out there, but more importantly, what are you doing to differentiate yourself against others?
Thank you guys so much. That was helpful.
I have a question here.
Go ahead,
Hello?
Ivanovich. Yep, go ahead, buddy.
Oh, so for you and the other individual, what is your current weakness within your workforce, within your job, and what do you wish to improve?
Oh my God, Ivanovich, where do I start? Man, weaknesses. That's my specialty. Way too many. Way too many weaknesses. I will be, in the stage of my business, one weakness that we have is senior leadership. As experienced as I am or not, it depends on how you look at it. I am, the leader, of our company, and even though some of my colleagues are more experienced than me, but we're still a pretty young team. So that is something that we're certainly looking into getting better at, right? Getting some gray hairs into our team. And there's two ways of doing that. Number one is, via direct hires as part of our team. And the second one is via advisors, our board of advisors. Luckily, our board of advisors, they do have a little bit of more gray hairs than we do. And that's something that we're focusing on. Now, related to the topic at hand, about diversity and Hispanic, certainly I think we could, even say it a little bit more, right? I mean, I think in my business, and I think in Berenice's business, it's implied, right? By the name, then we get on the call, and we speak with an accent and things like that. But at least from my perspective, I just don't go out to the market saying like, hey, we're a Hispanic business. And perhaps we should try to do that a little bit more. But that's from my perspective. Berenice?
One of the, and actually that this is a question that, it's kind of funny because, I always, when I do interviews for my company, I always ask, what are the weaknesses or strengths, right, for the candidates. And I always think that it's always, great to talk about, strengths, and you can name so many, and the list is not going to end, for everything that you have to say. But when it comes to say your weaknesses, you start thinking like, what are my weaknesses, right? But anyway, so I guess, in my case, weaknesses, since I started my company, and today, because it's still, like a young company, I've been in business for 8 years. It is actually business experience. So I still, I'm not that young as you guys, but still, kind of young, and actually young in the business, in the business. I have been, in this company only for 8 years, and I still feel that I don't know, many things. So, and what I do, for that is that I work with mentors, business mentors. Since I started my business, I knew, I read and I learned that it was very strategic, and it was something good to have mentors for your business. And today, even though that I have been in this business for 8 years, I still have my mentors, and my mentors are older than me, and they have, 15, 20 years more experience in business than me. So they know more, even though that, I'm a businesswoman and I have been in business for 8 years. I don't know anything, guys. I don't know everything, and I'm still learning a lot of things, and I learn every day. And the best way, to learn is from my mentors who are older than me. And that's actually, a big recommendation for you guys, that, sometimes people think that, it's not worth it, and more because it's your dream, it's your passion, and you feel that, you know everything, and or that you have enough experience and that you can conquer the world. And it is not true. And like I said, I always wanted to have mentors with more experience than me. And these mentors, like I said, they have 15. One of them is, has 15 years more experience than me in business, and the other one is like 20. So of course they know a lot more, and it has been very, very helpful for my business to be working with them, and to help me, for all my weaknesses that I have in the market, because I'm sorry, in the market, in the business. Because actually, even though that, like I said, that I got paid to learn from different areas, the reality is that, I learned and I had an idea, but I didn't know everything. So my mentors have been helping me a lot.
Thank you.
Okay,
I had
so
another question.
Oh, okay. Go, Jake, go.
Just a quick question for both of you. I guess what was like the biggest problem or challenge you guys faced when you guys work in different countries? So I guess what was the biggest problem you guys had to deal with that?
Berenice, do you want to start with this one? I started the last one. We can do one in one.
One in one. Okay, I'll do it. One of the biggest challenge for sure, starting a business is not easy. And starting a business in a different country, it is a big challenge. So one of the biggest challenge was, of course, the system. And I knew a lot about the market. I had the relationships and I knew about the industry, but still, that's different when you own a business. You gotta know the system. And that was, basically a big challenge. But with my mentors, I was able to, figure out a lot of things that it would have been a lot difficult without them. And I guess that, that was one of my biggest challenges. And I'm gonna share one more thing. Even though that I also speak English, I, learned the language as a second language. I deal with a lot of, legal documents. And the language is, a lot different than just my everyday, conversations. So there are terminologies that I wasn't very familiar with. And it took me, more time to, to learn and to understand a lot of, the legal documents that I needed for my business. But yeah, that was, another challenge as well. The terminology, for these legal documents.
Excellent, Berenice. Drake, great question. Thank you for that. So in my business, of course, my business is about international business, literally. The first challenge is the one that Berenice mentioned. It's the legal aspect of it. It's not the same as doing business in the United States, as it is in Colombia, as it is in Mexico, as it is in Argentina, right? So always have the support of either good mentors, as Berenice mentioned, or solid legal and tax partners in these countries of operation. That's number one. The second one is the network. Never underestimate your network. And Drake, I cannot see you. So, I don't know, how old are you? If you're a college student, you're a professor, there you go. Hey Drake, graduate school. But from this age, I would recommend everybody to start fostering your network. Add everybody. Yeah, social media is one thing. Fine. Yes, do that. But add everybody to LinkedIn. Send the thank you note. Be in touch with people that you're interested in working with in the future. Once every 6 months, once every 3 months. Hey, this is what I'm doing. Just stay in touch. Why? Because remember that your network is expansive. It's not about the people that you know immediately, but also the people that they know. On many occasions, when somebody comes to me and says, hey, Alberto, I'm starting this business. What do you think about it? Fine, I give them my thoughts, but then I say, hey, my LinkedIn is your LinkedIn, right? So literally, if you see that I'm connected with someone, do reach out and I will be more than glad to do so. And that becomes very useful when you're doing business outside of the United States, okay? Because you really want to ask for advice, or it's even, hey, is this person good or not? What's the word on the street about them? Little things like that. And you're gonna discover that outside of the United States, sometimes the world is very small. I always say that Mexico is very small for me. Colombia is very small for me. Argentina is very small for me, but that's because of the network that I have fostered for years and years and years and years. Good question, Greg.
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, I have a question, and it's more for Alberto. Being that he went to school in the US as an international student, what advice would you give to students being away from home, being international, and having that balance between missing home and also looking to the future?
Jennifer, thank you very much for asking that question. And that takes me back to my college days. Forget about business school. I was an adult already there. When I went to Georgia State University, this is how ignorant I was. I knew that I was going to play soccer, and I knew that I was not going to pay anything to play soccer. But then I started taking lessons, and I was like, I'm really interested. I started taking classes, and I was really interested in finance and accounting. And I will never forget that I went to my counselor and I said, hey, can I do a double major in finance and accounting? But I was so ignorant that I thought that I was going to have to pay for at least one of them, right? Because it was impossible for me to think that for playing soccer that we're going to pay for all my classes, right? He was like, yeah, of course. You just have to stay a couple of summers and you'll get it done. And I was like, oh, what about the cost? And they're like, Alberto, you don't get it, right? I'm like, no, you're a full ride athlete. And I was like, oh my God. So that's how much my parents didn't know about what I was going into. That's how much I didn't know what I was going into. And the reason I share that story is because I will never forget that happened during my first semester. It was because I was an international student and I was already thinking, okay, what comes after this? Because I didn't leave my family, I didn't leave my friends, the world that I know, just to come here and waste this tremendous opportunity. So the advice that I have for international students is make the best out of your college opportunity. Either you have a scholarship, either your parents are paying for it, either a sponsor is paying for it, either you're paying for it, working nights, weekends, whatever. Just make the best out of that opportunity. And that means study what you want to study, put the time, put the hours in, network, do the research, as Berenice said, of what you want to do afterwards. Reach out, because guys, you're getting an opportunity that not many people get, right? And a bunch of people will say, well, Bill Gates didn't graduate, or Steve Jobs. Yeah, okay, fine. But the vast majority of the rest of people did, right? So, take that opportunity and don't waste it. Those are my 2 cents. But particularly for international students, do understand the sacrifice that is being done, not only by you, but by the people that love you and that, stay in your home country for you to be here and make the best of it. Make them proud.
This is more of a comment than it is a question. And I just want to thank Alberto and Berenice. You both are shining examples of what our students need to see. You took me back with some of those stories and experiences, and it reminded me of when we talked to our students about having grit, really having grit and that chip on their shoulder, that never say die and never say can't attitude. You're just shining examples of what our students need to see. And I just want to congratulate both of you just for taking the time and imparting that knowledge on our students. And we have staff on here as well. Our faculty are on here. You're just great examples for our students to follow, and just want to thank you and congratulate you on all your success that you are having. And so thank you so much. Just wanted to add, I've been listening, but I didn't have a place where I can turn on my camera, but just wanted to make sure I got in to say thank you.
No, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I wanted to, that was one of the things that I was very impressed about both of you, is the sense of pride in your identity. Both have the very strong sense of empowerment, and you're being, seems like you're very empowered. But what I'm wondering, and as Dr. Lane mentioned about the grit and the sense of not giving up, refusing the I can'ts and all kinds of things. I'm wondering how much of that sense of identity and empowerment comes from being, on the one hand, picked up as an international athlete that you were not even, in the case of Alberto, was not even looking for being noticed. And in the case of Berenice, to more so just basically saying, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna study. What's behind that, in your opinion, or in your experience? What's behind that, and what is and if you have ever been rejected by being Mexicans or Latinos in the business, and can you give us an example how you dealt with that?
Since you mentioned me first, Cristina, I will start. So the first piece is around, grit and about determination and identity. I mentioned it in my initial speech, which is own it, right? You are who you are, and do own it, and see the positives, right, of your identity. See the positives of your upbringing, right? There's always positives to every scenario, and be able to reflect those in whatever you do, whether it's your work, at a company, whether it's as an entrepreneur like Berenice and myself, starting a business. That's the first piece of your question, if I recall correctly. The second piece was, have I ever been denied of an opportunity for being Mexican? It's I think, well, at least in my case, you will never know. Right? You will never, nobody will ever tell you like, hey, we didn't give this project to Nepanoa because you're Mexican. Or, when I was at PwC, which is a beautiful organization, very, very diverse, gives a lot of opportunity to different people, regardless of your, race, heritage, gender. And nobody will ever tell you that you didn't get this promotion because you're Mexican. No. But, I have had experiences where I am treated differently, right? But you know what? Even in those experiences, you have to have that personal confidence and that identity as well, to understand that situation and say, well, it's more a matter of them, not understanding where I come from, or what am I all about, or what is my team all about, and just go over it, right? You're not going to dwell on that. There's no time, guys, in this life to dwell about those things. There's no time in this life to complain about those things, right? You move on, go to the next one, go after, the next opportunity where, you will, find that, you will find that reward, I guess. That's my perspective.
Thank you.
Hi, Cristina. Well, to answer your question, to who I am today, I think is thanks to my mom. And I learned a lot from her, just looking at her. My mom was a single mom, and she always had to work to, to bring us food, to bring us shoes, and to pay, for the school. And what I learned from her, or looking at her while I was growing, it was that when you want to get something, you have to work for it. And whatever you want to get, you can get it if you make things happen. If you set your mind to, make things happen. I don't know how she did it. She had 9 kids. I was the youngest one. And I don't know how she did it. She was a single mom. She married twice, and both husbands passed away. So she was a single mom twice. And so I don't know how she did it, but she figured it out alone, how to make things happen. She opened a restaurant by herself. I don't know how she did it, but she did it, with 8, 9 kids. And so I learned, looking at her through all those years, I learned that, again, you can set your mind to, make things happen, and you can accomplish, whatever you want. And looking at other people, as well, you see very successful people, and that, that have accomplished a lot of things in life. And I guess at the end of the day, everybody faces different challenges. I face, some challenges. I'm sure Alberto faced, some challenges. You, Cristina, everybody, face different challenges. But at the end of the day, if you want to accomplish something, you can make things happen if you really want, and if you're disciplined, and if you are perseverant. Actually, over the weekend, I was in a women's event, and one of the panelists was this lady who, was sharing her story, and she's an entrepreneur, and she's very successful now. But, her challenges were, starting a company and having a kid with special needs. And if I think about my challenges, oh my God, those are big challenges. And again, my conclusion is that everybody faces different challenges, but if you want to accomplish things in life, you can do it when you set your mind, to make things happen. And to answer your second question, I always get a question about, like, if I don't have the right opportunities because I'm a woman, or if because I'm Mexican, or if I'm an immigrant in this country. And I want to share with you that I think at the end of the day, all those things are in your mind. Because if I get a rejection, it's not going to be because I'm Mexican, or because I'm immigrant, or because I'm a woman. I'm going to say that if it's in my mind. And I think this country is so beautiful, with because of the diversity. And I have been here, for living for 17, 18 years. And I have never, felt that, I'm sorry. And my conclusion is that, you feel it if it's in your mind. So I'm a woman, I'm Mexican, and I'm an immigrant. And I feel very proud of all those things. And I'll take, those advantages for my benefit, or I think about, that those are advantages for, for my benefit. And that's, what I can share with you, Cristina. That's always, that's only in your mind.
Thank you. Thank you, because I work with the Hispanic Latino students on campus, and I appreciate both of your perspective, but I also think that in my experience with the students that are being from here, the sense of identity is very different than the one that you show and portray. Both of you perhaps grew up in your countries and then moved here already with an identity. And the majority of our students here are navigating between being Latinos or being US. So even if it is a sense of mindset, it is still, in my opinion, not to deny the experiences that our students are go through here. And the rhetoric and the negativity around many of the students and the immigration. So that's why I was seeing both of you in a in a sense that very admirable, your identity, your sense of pride in being Latinos, being immigrants, because that's not the case with a lot of our students. And that was why I wanted to understand a little bit more where you get that in, because that's one of the things that I really struggle with my students, to sense of empowerment and their cultural affirmation, but not just the affirmation, because somebody can say, yes, I am Latino or I'm Mexican, Colombian, but maybe perhaps not being proud simply because of the rhetoric around in this country. So I'm very happy that both of you have not had issues like many of our students go through here. Thank you so much.
And one more thing that I would love to share, you know, I'm in an industry that it's dominated by men, Christina. And I was in that industry. I love that industry, and I don't think that, you know, has been a disadvantage for me, because, like I said, you know, I don't put those things in my mind, and also I'm a very positive person, and when you are a very positive person and, you know, try to control your mind instead that your mind controls yourself, whatever negative things that are around you, you know, I don't take them. I always try to see, you know, the positive things that I have, or the positive things of, you know, everything. And being Mexican again, you know, another positive thing that I see in this country is, you know, for what I do. Mexican food is so popular, and Mexican food is actually the second most popular food in the United States after Italian. So I always see, you know, the positive thing of, you know, being a Mexican or being an immigrant in this country without putting, you know, all those negative things in my mind.
Wow, so that was awesome. I'm gonna leave it for a couple of seconds. Anyone have any last questions before we wrap this up? Otherwise, I'm looking. Okay, I think we got a good amount of questions out there. Oh, actually, Michael has something in the chat. Let's see. I've never had a mentor before. What's your advice for selecting a great mentor besides LinkedIn and networking organizations? And how can how it can benefit both the mentor and the mentee? So if you could just think about mentorship and how you can select that. Let's answer Michael's question and then we will conclude the event.
Berenice, you mentioned your mentors play a very big role for you. So if you want to take this one.
Okay, sure. There are different ways. Of course, you know, you mentioned LinkedIn, other ways, other sources, you know, to get mentors, you know, in your industry when you're networking. Also, you know, from different organizations that are out there. You know, in my case, I belong to different organizations, women organizations, business organizations, chamber of commerce. There are a lot of, you know, outsources out there that where you can get, you know, mentors, but of course you gotta do your research and find, you know, the right mentor that it's gonna fit your business and it's gonna fit your needs.
Thank you, Berenice. In my case, guys, I was a founding board member of America Needs You for the Illinois chapter. And that's an organization that works particularly with first generation college students. And Michael, it may not be the case that you're a first generation or not, but what it was a mentorship program, right? Where we worked with colleges to map students with volunteers, right? In different industries. We had doctors, we had attorneys, we had consultants. We didn't have Berenice, for example, but you know, and we would map the mentors with the students depending on the interest of the student. I'm gonna respond to you via chat, and I'm gonna give you, you know, the name of it. It's America Needs You, AMY. But as Berenice mentioned, it's important to be out there and to seek those relationships, because being a mentor informally in the cases where I'm a mentor and it's informal, it's almost like, well, okay. So from the mentor perspective, doing it informally, guys, it's a little bit tougher, right? Because we're all very busy, right? And even with my mentors, right, it's just like stealing time here and there. No, I actually, and I don't know if Berenice does this, but I learned this very early in my career. I do tell them, hey, you're my mentor, right? Like I do tell them like, hey, I'm going to be bugging you every 3-4 months. That way it's established, right? And even before you touch base, it's like, hey, I would like to discuss X. I would like to discuss Y. You need to be proactive. Let me tell you something. It's not a favor that, the mentors are doing for you. It's a two-way street. They get a lot from you too. And I'm telling you, because I'm in that stage in my career where I have mentors, but I'm a mentor to others, right? So, I'm kind of in the middle, and it's a two-way street, right? Because it also helps you, as a mentor, it helps you to be in tune with what's going on, perhaps something that you had not missed. And by having a conversation, I hate to say giving advice. No, you're really having a conversation, sharing ideas, sharing perspectives that may or may not work for you. You get a lot out of that. And of course, when you touch base with something that has walked the same road that you are walking right now, well, of course, there is a lot that you can get from that. So I deviated. Michael, your original question is where else? Reach out to the organizations. I'm sure SIU has several organizations like that. I'm just responding to your comment in the chat as well, but that's the way to do it. Go to these organizations and network for it and ask. Once you have someone, ask like, hey, do you want to be my mentor? And they're like, what does that mean? Like, no, bear with me. Let's have a chat every 2-3 months. I want to just run things by you, right? And that will officialize it and it'll work out better.
I would like to add, something else regarding mentors. It is very important, where to get them. I'm sure there, like we mentioned, Alberto and me mentioned, different places where you can find mentors. But the most important thing is finding the right mentor. I guess that's, what the challenge is. And my advice is that you should find someone that understands your industry and your market as well.
Wow, okay. I'm gonna weigh in one really quick thing because I also have a mentor. And so just really fast, mentors can change at different stages. You don't necessarily have to carry your mentor from college all the way through to your professional career. You can find different mentors at different stages of your life, and that's actually really healthy and really important. And so as I transitioned to a different career, as I transitioned out of college, I had mentors through different stages of my life that were different. So definitely take that into consideration. So okay, on a totally different note, I dropped the link into the chat for the Hispanic Latinx Heritage Month schedule, just in case you missed it at the beginning. I'm going to put Christina on the spot right before we leave to see if she has anything she wants to add, because as the coordinator of the Hispanic Latino Resource Center, I definitely want her to get a chance to address this really quickly. And so, Christina, anything you want to wish to us, tell to us, please.
Well, Jennifer, thank you so much. And thank you, Berenice and Alberto. But first of all, please continue supporting the Hispanic Latinx Heritage Month. We still have 2 events this week, tomorrow, and there are Zoom events. And one is a panel of Hispanic Latinx SIU medical students, and they will talk about their the application process, tips, struggles, and successes. As well, on Thursday, we have a DACA informational, which will be collaborated with SIU Law School, as well as the Southern Illinois Immigrant Rights Project. And we're going to do just a roundup of updates and what to do and best practices at the state level and SIU level. And then Friday, for those that are still in the area in Carbondale, we have a movie night, which is In the Heights, which also has the plot of DACA. And so hopefully you can make it. That's at 5 p.m. at the Student Center Auditorium. And so, and I'm just going to, I don't know if Berenice and Alberto know the theme for the National Hispanic Heritage Month. And so and I'm going to basically exemplify well, not that you both exemplify the theme, which the theme is Esperanza, celebrating Hispanic heritage and hope. And I think just by hearing you talk about your empowerment, your identity, your sense of owning who you are and seeing it as an asset instead of a negative or something that will be a barrier, and you have utilized that in a different manner. I really see that as a esperanza, and just something that really it's very uplifting, that I wish a lot of our students, and that I consistently try in empowering. I am Mexican and I am an immigrant, and I've been in the United States for 32 years, but I grew up in Mexico. I know how to speak Spanish well, write it well, and that's a very different perspective than a lot of our students here. So that sense, I understand your sense of identity, but it's also that opportunity to see that no matter who we are, we can make it, and the instill how that has been instilled in us to our families. So thank you for that. And like I said, you embodied that theme, and I appreciate very much you being here. Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. It's amazing collaborating with you, and just seeing all these people here. It's amazing. So I appreciate this collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, and on that note, I want to thank both Bernice and Alberto for being here. Alexis, you did a great job moderating. Christina, thank you for stopping by and representing your resource center. Everyone, this has been a wonderful event. It's going to be posted on my office's website once the recording goes up, and the webmaster giving me a day or two. I dropped the link there. If you need it and you missed the link over there, just make sure you email me. My email is really simple. It's my name, Jennifer.Butler, the number 1 @siu.edu. Thank you so much for this. It's been a wonderful experience, and I wish you all a great evening. Bye-bye.